So I've just test ridden the R1300 GS, which I hated. First, it's too thin, it's too small, it's automatic. It has power, okay, I give you that, but I didn't like it at all. Maybe I'm used to, you know, the big feeling of mine. So I kindly asked them to test ride the manual Adventure. Alright guys, this is the Adventure manual. Let's go. Nice, nice. Now it feels like a motorcycle. Much better, but still it feels like I'm on top of the bike, not in it. But it's nice, it's lovely. Lots of power, lots of power. Nicely built, but the engine feedback is a bit weird. It kind of has some vibrations, which is completely normal. It is in general a lovely bike, I have to say. If a GS, I would definitely go for this the adventure one, definitely. I have to get a feel for the clutch and all, the turning point. It's one of the coolest. Transmission disabled automatically. Definite practice. This has so much torque and power. Very impressive. Very impressive. Oh. Gotta get used to the clutch. çok iyi. Buna bir şey diyemiyorum.
Dinamikleri aynı, sadece depo kapasitesi falan değişiyor. Bir daha
Evet.
ağırlık tabi arttığı için.
Benim motorun ön tarafı, ön kısmı geniş olduğu için o bana çok farklı geldi. Bu daha uygun geldi alışkanlığıma. Yani hissiyatı daha iyi. Kesinlikle müthiş.
Beğendiysen problem yok.
Bu çok güzel. Bu müthiş.
Çay kahve içer miyiz?
Bir tane çay alabilirim. Tamam. Hop. Yep, the clutch is a bit different. Yeah, I love this. The adventure model is much better. The regular one not so much. Nice. So I just wanted to add some additional comments on my test ride of the BMW GSs. First, there was the R1300 GS automatic, which I didn't like at all. Two reasons. One, the bike is too thin, it's too small. The design, it doesn't feel like a big adventure bike, which I prefer. Of course, BMW has in mind to attract as many customers as possible. Okay, so smaller riders who don't like those huge bikes can now get a GS. I understand that. I'm not bad mouthing the brand or the bikes. It's just not for me. I like them big and I like them wide. Second, automatic, clunky, weird, not smooth. Again, it's for those who don't want to or who don't like to shift manually, same as in cars. I like to shift on my own. It's more precise, you have more control. It's my preference. It was just too clunky. Whenever you're braking, okay, it shifted down and applied engine braking. Even though you didn't want to brake as hard or you didn't want to slow down as much. So let me ride up here and see where I can turn. So those were the two main factors that I did not like the GS. It just felt small and the automatic too clunky, not smooth. Afterwards, I've test ridden the GSA, the Adventure, which is a bit wider in the front due to the larger fuel tank. Even that didn't feel as big as my bike, but it was close enough. Plus, it was manual, which I really appreciated. and I think I have really nothing against the GSA. It's a lovely bike. It's top quality. Both bikes have immense power. Okay, the power is unlimited. That's the feeling you get. It's awesome. It's top. Only weird thing is that the boxer engine feels like a tractor in low revs. You know, when you're basically starting the bike and it's just in idle position. And you know what? I'm just gonna turn here. There's no cameras, otherwise it'll go on and on and on. So yeah, engine super powerful. The torque is always there. It doesn't matter at in what gear you are, at what rev range you are. As soon as you know, twist the throttle, immense power immediately there. That I really loved, and that is probably for me the selling point of the GS. Of course, you know, there are other factors. However, I really enjoyed the manual adventure model, and if I'd be able to get one, I'd choose the adventure model. And don't be intimidated by its looks. It feels nothing like it looks like. It looks gigantic. It looks very heavy. It looks like an elephant. But it is so slick. It is so smooth and easy to handle. It feels smaller than this bike, believe it or not. It felt smaller. You're sitting up a bit higher. You're not inside the motorcycle. You're slightly on top, you know, slightly. It's just like not entirely above and not entirely inside. And it has, you know, the automatic suspension, which lowers itself when you're stopping. That is so awesome. And it's hiring itself, you know, leveling up once you're riding. That was pretty awesome, actually. Yeah, really enjoyed the adventure model. Not so much the regular GS. However, the only change is actually probably the front size due to the larger fuel tank. It just, you know, makes it feel like a real adventure bike, but both very powerful. And I'm sure I would have enjoyed the regular GS more if it had been manual. But like I said, they only had those two available. I enjoyed the adventure, and I would definitely want to get one of those if the prices were appropriate in Turkey. The problem here is that taxation is really, really high. So you're paying basically double the amount what you would pay in Europe. So yeah, it's considered luxury model or something, you know, and the government is just taxing it way, way higher. But a man can dream.